In this lecture, we're going to look at variables. We'll go over what they are, how they're stored, how we create them, and why they're useful. Variables can be thought of as bits of computer memory that store changeable information. Think of computer memory as being like a filing cabinet. When you open a filing cabinet, what you see is a bunch of files. Computers work just like this. Instead of the files, though, what we have are variable labels. So think of it like this. We have a variable label, which is equivalent to a file, and we have a value, which is equivalent to the contents of a file. So in the example here, I've got the variable label A holding the value dog. And in another file, I'll have, say, the variable label B holding the value cat, and so on and so forth until we've got a bunch of different variables holding values that are going to be useful to us. We're now going to have a look at variables within Jupyter, how we create them. So if you haven't already done so, open a Jupyter window and type in the following: A equals 3. So what this means is that we are going to create a variable called A. This equals means a sign, and that is the number 3. So what this means is, to the variable A, assign the number 3. So we'll just run that. So that's executed that and put that number 3 into memory. So now if we type A and hit run again, we'll see the number 3 pop up. And we'll do the same or similar with the letter B. So I'm going to write B equals cat. Hit run. And if I type in B now, I get the word cat, which is now being held in the variable B. Note that I've used these little speech marks around the cat when I've defined it, and the reason I do that is because that's the only way the computer can distinguish between a word and a variable. So if I had tried to say B equals cat like that and execute that, I would have got an error. And the reason is that in this case here, the computer thinks I'm trying to assign to B the value of another variable which is called cat. So just to make sure there's no confusion, remember that when you assign a string, in this case the string would be the word cat, I must always put it in speech marks in order to communicate that I am talking about the word cat and not a variable cat. Now when I run that, everything is fine. Variables are useful because they allow us to manipulate data. We've just seen now how you can create variables and assign information to them. And now we'll look at a small example of how a manipulation can occur. So back in our Jupyter notebook, I'm going to reassign some of our variables. So I'm going to make A equal to the value 10. I'm going to make B equal to the value 5. And I'm going to make C equal to A plus B. Then in the last line, I'll say print C. So here we go. I'm going to run that. And lo and behold, we get the answer 15. Keep in mind that variable names follow a few rules. They must start with a letter or underscore, cannot start with a number, can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores, so the letters A to Z, 0 to 9, and underscore, and are case sensitive. So let's just have a look at some examples in practice. So our variable age, let's fill that with the number 12, and the variable age with capital A with the number 10. Now if we write age 2, equals age plus age, we'll get an answer of 22. That's because age with all lowercase is interpreted differently to age with a capital A. To remind you of the few no-nos, remember that variables cannot begin with numbers and they cannot begin with strange symbols. So the following numbers cannot start off a variable, and neither can symbols like brackets, star, ampersand, the caret, percentage, $, at, and exclamation mark. All of those are invalid to begin variables with. So here is an invalid variable. If I try and run that, I'll get a syntax error. If I write any variable with a funny symbol in like ampersand, and I run that, I will also get a syntax error. Syntax error just means you've got something wrong in the way you've written your code so that the compiler or interpreter doesn't understand it. In summary, variables store useful information in memory that the programmer can use and manipulate, are assigned using the equal sign, and must be named with some rules.